All right, we are live. What is up? What's today? Today's Monday. I was going with Momentum Monday. Sometimes I have to remind myself. But we have Miss Jenny Strobo here. Super, super excited. Incredible.
I'm excited to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. We wanted to chat with you a little bit about, who you are, what you do, how you've gotten to where you are, and essentially like how you've been able to navigate life with the obstacles that you have and continue to face.
All right. Well, thanks for having me. A little bit about me is I'm 45 years old. I have two daughters. They're 23 and 26. Light of my life, best friends. Just amazing. I've been doing nutrition for about 22 years. I've been doing online coaching for 14, which I focus on mostly women's health. Through nutrition, vitamin supplementation, all that kind of naturally, and learning how to live lifestyle and navigate the world on their own. I don't expect them to stay with me forever. I just want to teach them. And just doing my thing. I work for Blackstone Labs right now, currently, as well as all my online coaching. And I love to work. I love to learn, love doing new stuff. And I am a professed foodie.
Yes, you are.
I think that's how we found each other, right?
It is. Totally. I love of the food pictures.
Was it cookies? I don't even know how. It was something.
Cookies, something. It doesn't matter. I like it all.
This is true.
That's like us.
Yeah, I know. So you are a type 1 diabetic, right?
Yeah, yes.
And when were you diagnosed with that?
I was diagnosed when I was young. And then I was having actually super bad bouts of hypoglycemia, which is not normal whenever you get diagnosed. But I struggled with that because I ate pretty good and my body would kind of spike up and then plummet. And it would spike up unnaturally and they couldn't figure out why. And then they realized that my pancreas was just failing. And then I was totally fine actually for my adolescent years, everything. They don't really know what happened. So they actually classify it now as adult onset type 1.
Oh, okay.
Very weird. And, I'm like, well, whatever. It's the same thing. I love when people walk up to me and they're like, well, my grandma's type diabetic, and I'm like, well, that's different. And I'll kind of explain it a little to them and help them out with that. Or clients that come to me that are pre-diabetic or type 2, I have to explain that how different they are. They're completely different.
Totally. Yes. 100%. I get it, especially our nurse. Now, when you were diagnosed, how did that make you feel? And when it comes to were you super into fitness and nutrition at the time, or how did you start navigating life, I would say, with that?
I actually wasn't into fitness at all. I actually had never been in a gym or lifted before, about 6 months before my first competition.
Oh, wow.
I forgot to mention that I was an IFBB pro fitness figure competitor for a decade, competed all over the world, the Olympia, the Arnold, all of those things. Wow. But I had actually never lifted a weight. I was just one of those just skinny, frail chicks, or at least I thought I was, but then I look back sometimes and I was tiny, but I was skinny fat, all the body fat because I loved all the foods. But when I was diagnosed, it didn't really bother me so much because now I knew what the problem was.
Yeah.
And I'm just a research dork and love learning and love taking online courses and classes. And I just delved into that and just went crazy about it. And that's what got me into nutrition. My first college degree is in architecture, actually. And then I went back to school. I know, I never built a building. Now I just build bodies. So.
I was going to say you just build your body.
now I just build bodies. But I went back to school to learn nutrition because I started seeing how our bodies are just designed to heal themselves and to work on their own. You don't need to just take a pill, take, all the pharmacology, all these medicines and everything. You can do it all naturally through eating the right stuff.
For sure.
So.
And so once you were kind of going into that, it makes me think a lot of times they're as a kid, at least both of us, we had come from poor, broke, drug addicted parents. And so there's those people that either follow the trend where you just take what you've been received and then follow that path, or you have that resilience and you're okay, I have this obstacle and I'm going to choose to go the other way. And it definitely sounds like you are the
Choose to
resilient type.
change that completely.
Well, and then also too, it sounded like you're like being diagnosed gave you it was a little bit more liberating, right? Where it's like, all right, now I know what I can do. And so rather than it being a burden, it was something that's all right, cool. Like now I know what I'm dealing with, so I know how to deal with it. So it was more liberating.
Exactly. And that's how I am. It's like, if I know the whole picture, then I'm going to come up with a plan.
Yeah.
Like, let's create this plan and we're going to work it. You know, was I obviously super excited about it? No, because I knew that it would never go away and I would have to. At the time, they didn't have these little meters that you could wear on your arms and things like that. You're just pricking all day long and doing all these things. And they wanted me to wear an insulin pump. And then I was like, wait, I have this like cord stuck to me all the time. And so that was really, I don't wear a pump anymore because I use nutrition and movement 90% of the time for my insulin, or to keep my glucose level. But I had to think of it in a completely opposite way. I had to think of it like, okay, now I know, let's work on it.
Yeah. I feel like that's such a great mindset, especially depending on like what age you started that with. How have you, because I deal with I would say, with it in such an interesting way, because it was so funny. We had shared something in regards to intermittent fasting, and like someone had commented and they're like, that's a great way to become diabetic. I'm like, oh. And
it's well, obviously like there's all kinds of stuff on the internet.
Maybe you need to learn a little more.
Like our poor world, our poor people. But anyways, how have you been able to because have you done it all yourself? Have you had help from a coach? Is it just through your research? Like, how do you go through life trying to figure out like, hey, do you experiment on yourself, or like, what do you do knowing like what works?
I always utilize myself. You know, obviously I have nutritional clients and doing all those things, but I'm not going to try something that I've on a client before I've tried it on myself. I'm the big guinea pig. But I was doing all of these things prior to coaching clients. And I would just figure things out. You know, you wake up and randomly your glucose is a little high and you're thinking, why? I haven't eaten since, 8 or 9 o'clock last night. I always eat right before I go to bed. And but then you see like, wait, I go on a walk for 20-30 minutes and my glucose came way down. Mm-hmm. And so you're thinking, okay, well, I don't need to worry about it. Or your glucose is a little high and you don't have time to, do some movement or activity. So you just don't eat or anything, and your glucose will slowly trend down as you utilize energy. And I started to see all of those patterns in my body and get really interested in that. And so then I would reach out to mentors and different people and follow them now that as social media was becoming bigger, and read more, take classes. And it was just so interesting to me how you could utilize the food, or if your glucose is high, you just don't have something that's going to spike your insulin at that time, or spike your glucose at the time. And it was just so interesting to me. So I've utilized that in my path to stay fit and to stay leaner and to not store body fat and to not have to use as much insulin, bolusing throughout for different meals. And it's just, it's working for me. And now it also works for clients too.
That's awesome. How long of a process has this been? And I know, like with anything in life, it's lifelong, right?
It is. I mean, our health is lifelong. We got this one body and we need to, just treat it as best we can.
For sure.
And enjoy life at the same time. But it's taken probably about a decade for me to figure it out. Mm-hmm. And so, for the last 8 to 10 years, I've been able to manage it just great. It was a little tough in the competition world because you have to kind of, deplete and then fill out before your competition and things. And you never knew how my body was going to react. It may have reacted a certain way one competition, and then we do the same thing again, and my glucose decides to do something all wacky and I have to use more insulin and it doesn't look the same. But in a sense, that's minor compared to my life,
Yeah, I think it's interesting. So one of the doctors that we used to work with, he was always like, man, diabetics, and it all comes down to perspective. They're like, they have it so good because they are able to regulate however they want their sugars. Like,
so yeah, his philosophy, because he actually worked with a handful, a lot of diabetics, and so sometimes when they first started, working with him, he would say, hey, like, this can actually be an advantage because you have more control over your blood sugar than someone that has a working pancreas. So it's like, it can be a benefit if that's how you look at it, because you can control it way more than someone that operates naturally can. So like, if you take that mindset, maybe we can look at how we can use it as a tool versus like feeling like it's a setback.
Feeling like it's a burden and everybody's like, woe is me. You know, when I go to see the endocrinologist, everyone in there doesn't look like me. And they're all just, okay, well, I just want to find out what new medicines I can take and how much more insulin I can do so I can keep eating all this junk that I need to eat.
Well, the funny thing
is
they
tell me like, well, I can't stop eating that. And I'm like, well, you can, you just choose not to.
For sure. Yeah. Well, that was going to be my thing, is that I'm sure you probably get people, at least that know you personally. They see some of the stuff that you do eat and it's like, well, how is that possible? And same thing for us. Obviously, we're in a different situation, but a lot of people, they use their love for food as an excuse not to be in the shape that they want or not to have the quality of health that they want. It's like, well, you can have both. And like, I would argue that sometimes we enjoy better food more often than some of the people that use food as a crutch to stay where they are. And so
very right.
Yeah. And so it's
because they'll go through deprivation and then the binging, and then they're like, oh, well, I need to deprive again. And it's a circle for them instead of finding the balance.
Yeah, for sure. Or they try and stay away from the things that they want. And so they eat a bunch of stuff that they're not happy with. And then eventually they just give in and get the thing that they want anyway. So the majority of the time they're eating shit that they don't really enjoy. And then they eat the shit that they enjoy in massive quantities anyway. So it's like, for us, if we're going to eat something, we might as well enjoy it all the time. Otherwise.
Exactly. You're totally right. I mean, I think I talked to you about this, Sammy, when we were chatting before. I'll have a client say, well, I really wanted this cookie, you know, an Oreo cookie. But I decided to have a rice cake instead. And then that obviously didn't satisfy them. So 15 minutes later, 20 minutes later, then now they go and have 3 more rice cakes, but they put a little peanut butter and jelly on them and they eat those. And they just really wanted an Oreo cookie. Well, now they go and they finally eat the Oreo cookie, but instead of just having that one cookie, they end up eating the whole pack. And so I'm like, wait, so you had all of this stuff, but you could have just gone and had that one cookie and you would have been so much better off, felt satisfied, and known that you could have it. So you wouldn't feel that adults, we don't like to be told we can't do something.
No.
And, you know, we don't tell me no, because I'm going to show you different. And they feel like they can't have it. So now they've just done all this and they're like, yeah, but I threw the pack away and I did this and my husband didn't see it, or, you know, whatever. And I'm like, it doesn't really matter. You know, you just could have had the 60-calorie cookie and moved on, but instead you had 1,000.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's always funny when people are in relationships or their friendships or whatever, and they're trying to hide stuff from other people. And it's like, you're the one that really, like, we met some the other day and he was like, oh, my wife put me on a diet. She said I can't have soda, but I'm still drinking it anyways. Just don't tell her. And I'm like, well, you're not really fucking her. Like,
you're fucking yourself, dude. You're messing up with yourself.
Yeah. Oh, like, and she's gonna know you're not dropping weight, but like, you're not lying to anyone other than yourself. Like, Jesus Christ, it's so funny.
Yeah, that's what I tell, you know, clients that were competitors that I'd have. I'm like, it doesn't really matter if your husband knows you ate that and you threw it away before you left the grocery store, you know, or whatever you did, ate it in your car, you know, hiding out from the drive-through. The judge is going to be judging you on that stage, and they're judging on your body, not your husband. It doesn't matter.
Totally. How have you, like, so with that and your clients, do you have like a particular way that you like measure and track that allows you to get the results that you do? And then how have you been able to help your clients like essentially achieve the results that you have?
Well, for myself, I don't actually measure and track anymore. I know how to do it. I can eyeball everything. I eat pretty basic all week long because I like a big giant thing on Sunday nights. It's an all out go for it. In fact, last night, you don't even want to know, it was gross. And I don't even want people to like, I'll go to dinner with somebody, but then I go home and that's where like my 2 giant baskets are.
We're the same way. We'll go out with people and they'll be like, oh, this is so much food. They're impressed at how much we eat. And then we come home and we just keep eating. And then
I keep eating constant. It's like a 5-hour, it's from 4 p.m. to 9 p.m. I just go, I don't even know where it goes.
I don't even know where it goes.
I don't know where I'm putting it. I go to bed at, you know, 9, I have to go right to bed at 9 o'clock. Cause I'm like, that's my cutoff. I can't keep eating because I'll keep looking for more stuff, you know, even though I've got these baskets full of crap. And I'll do that. So I eat really basic all week.
how did that become a part of your routine? Because that you're a very strategic within that. We're gonna
I'm
navigate.
very strategic with it now, and then I'll explain how I help my clients too. But when I was competing and you're top IFBB pro and stuff, most of the time your meal plans are very, very specific. You are deprived of a lot of things because you're being judged on every inch of your skin and the way your body looks, and going to the gym and training 5 days a week and doing all of that. And you got a cheat meal every week, which I prefer to call it to my clients now. It's a free meal. It's free. It's planned with purpose, that sort of thing. You're not cheating on anything. Cheat means something bad.
Yeah.
And you shouldn't, as soon as you start thinking of food as good and bad, then that's where you start with you start spiraling down.
Yeah, totally.
Is that Napoleon?
Yes, Napoleon, our child.
So that's where I started it, but I would always do it on Sundays because I would travel Thursday to Saturday speaking at events or working for shows or, doing posing seminars and different things all over the world. And I would get home and my daughters would say, where are we going to eat? What are we doing? Or I would compete on a Saturday. And so the next day would be what I would want to do. And my daughters always wanted to know, where are we going to eat? Although I would still take them. I lived a normal life. I didn't deprive my children. They didn't ask for me to be a competitor. I'm their mom. So we still did all those things. I remember shopping for prom dresses, eating chicken and green beans out of my purse, But so that's where it started. And then it's just evolved into, as I learned more about my body, it evolved more into this all out thing that I've learned. I'm like, it really actually helps my body. And then I've learned how to help my clients with that as well. A planned with purpose, it refuels your glycogen stores. It actually stokes your metabolism. It refuels your soul a little bit. Plan a date night, do all these things, go enjoy these things and stop thinking of things that you can't ever have those things again.
Yeah, for sure. Well, we're the same way, because people people will question how do you guys do it? It's like, as annoying as it is for some people to hear, it's like we have a better understanding of how our body operates, and it's because we're willing to test it. So it's like try and see what happens. And so many people won't do it because they're scared of what may happen, and they'll never get to experience it. So they just deprive themselves the entire time because they're not willing to test it. And so for us, it's like, we know that because we have the experience or the confidence of putting our body through it and then making the adjustment moving forward. It's like, all right, cool, this is how I responded. Am I good with it? Am I not? How do I adjust? And then you gain that type of experience or confidence through doing.
Or they're just so you experience they eliminate everything, and then they're like, well, I don't know when I'm going to reintroduce this back. It's bad. I should never have it. And it's like, well,
that's where they end up causing issues. And then a lot of clients come to me and they're eating 900 calories a day and they're working out nonstop. And I'm like, all right, so you're going to rest at least 2 full rest days, not do anything. And we're going to increase your calories, and you're going to have this big meal every week. And then they're like, I can't believe I've been doing this for 3 weeks, and now my body I lost 3 pounds. And I'm like, okay, so I might know what I'm doing. I might know what I'm talking about. And it's because I've tested it on myself. I've seen how it works. And they learn that, to work a little smarter instead of harder.
Oh, we're so big on that.
So we're big on MED, minimal effective doses. I want to be able to get the greatest return out of the shit that I do versus feeling like I'm putting out a whore just because I want to put out. It's there's no.
I love that. Tell me more.
No point in working hard just for working hard. Same thing.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, that's the thing. And I talk to clients because a lot of my clients are over the age of 35, 40 and, all the way up to 85. And I talk to them all the time. I'm like, so wait a minute, you want to literally eat this piece of toast and then 3 strawberries? Because the people that write down what they're eating on a normal daily basis, I'm baffled where they even came up with these nutritional plans that they're eating. 3 strawberries and a couple slices of turkey. And then at night, you want to have some chicken and some cauliflower rice. Mm-hmm. For the rest of your life, you want to do that. You want to run for an hour every single day of the week. And how's that going to work out?
Yeah.
How is that going to really work out? How do you feel about that? And you want to worry about every time someone asks you to go to dinner or something. It's not going to work for you very long term. And that's why I tell people to stop following these fad diets. Every fad diet's going to work temporarily because it puts you in a caloric deficit. Yeah. Stop following them because none of them are sustainable because they're eliminating something from you.
Yeah, I'm actually working with a small group of people right now in regards to like embracing drinking alcohol while making progress, right? So obviously not being crazy, but it's like
Right.
same thing as a foundation. It's like the reason that most all diets work when they work is because it puts you in a deficit. The easiest way to get someone to lose weight is to have them eliminate something. So like when people start a fitness, regime or whatever, it's like, all right, well, stop drinking alcohol. It's like, well, of course you're going to tank your calories if you're cutting out something that you do on a daily, weekly basis in excess. And when you start drinking again, it's like, I don't know where all this weight came back. It's the alcohol's fault. It's like, no, you don't know how to incorporate the alcohol into, your calories in a responsible way. So like, let's just do that from the jump.
Exactly. Everything is fine in moderation.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so
It's
with that,
portion size, portion control, do
my
all
God.
of those things. I'm like, you can have this if you have this amount instead of having the amount that the restaurant brought you that's like enough for 4 people. But you could still have that chicken Alfredo and the breadstick or whatever you're wanting, and you can still eat it. Just eat a portion of it that's suitable for your size and your body instead of eating 4 people's servings.
with that actually made me think, how is there, or what's your favorite tip to help people start implementing those types of
At a
things?
restaurant, like
at
going to a restaurant and not overeating.
To use their hand.
Like
Protein size, carb size, fat size, eat some veggies, have 1 glass of wine, have 1 drink, have a bite of the bread basket, not the entire basket. Move on.
Do you find that they're more successful when, like, is it, how should I say this? In the beginning, do they have more of a challenge being able to control or feel disciplined with the amount that they're eating?
To stop
Or,
at
yeah,
that
like how do they stop? Or
I give them little helpful tips. One, I think you and I talked about the don't just order a salad because you're not going to feel satisfied. You're actually going to save calories if you just order a steak, potato, and veggie instead of having all these chemicals and all that. And you've got 3 whole food ingredients that are going to work better for your body. That's one. Stop trying to order something that you would never have ordered ever.
Yeah.
But 2, ask for a to-go box immediately, or ask for a separate plate. Go ahead and move it and ask them to take it away. You can either take it home unless you feel like as soon as you get home, you're going to start digging in that box, or at 2 a.m. you're going to be doing this number in the refrigerator. I look in my cabinets every day and I live alone, I was staring there. I'm like, is there anything I really want right now? But that's a couple little helpful tips for them, because a lot of times, even at restaurants, if you order a baked potato, sweet potato, whatever, it comes out and it's the size of your head.
Yeah.
Obviously, that is not a portion, but you can still enjoy that sweet potato or a baked potato loaded up with the stuff. But let's cut the rest off and get it off your plate. So visually, because as children, especially people my age, we were, I can't even think of the word right now, but we were programmed to clean our plate.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so don't see it there, because you'll get into conversation with someone and keep picking, and you'll do that. And then you'll be like, oh, and then you're going to have food resentment, regret, all of that. And then you're going to deprive yourself the next day, and you're going to get right back into that cycle. So ask for a to-go box, or ask them to go ahead and just take it away. Either way, I always say, like, just choose pick one that's going to work best for you.
Yeah.
Or split a meal with someone that you want to, so you can enjoy those,
I like to chat about it, like when you split a meal, because then you get to like, how do you feel about it?
Yeah, it's great. And you're still enjoying that, but then you split the meal. So you actually got to split a little appetizer, split the meal, and split a dessert.
Totally.
You each have a drink, and then you go home and you move on. You saved a little money and you saved some calories too.
Right?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And one of the things that it made me think of that I think for a lot of people is that if they were going to, box it up and take it home or leave it for the restaurant or whatever, sometimes they get worried about, like wasting money or wasting food. And so one of the things that we've had to learn as we've gotten a little bit more like, free with food, or some of our travels, was that when we go to a restaurant and like when we're paying for the food, we're paying for the experience of like the quality of life that we want. And like the experience doesn't mean eating all of your food, because like if you eat that and you leave over full, or you're going to have a negative response later, then you're paying for a shitty experience. Yeah. And so it's like realizing like, all right, this is what I'm investing in, is to have a good time. And that means stopping at this point, not necessarily clearing my plate.
And
right?
so you almost have to change your definition of like, what is a good experience, or what am I looking to achieve or get out of what's happening. Kind of if you've ever gone to a theme park, you know you've been to Disney World out there.
Well, I lived in Orlando for 12 years, so I might have been a few times.
And back in the day, at least, like for me, you know, if I went to a theme park, it'd be like, oh my God, I got to hit all the rides. I got to do all the things. And it was just like totally unenjoyable. You'd wait in line for hours versus
Not getting to enjoy anything because you're just standing there like a cow in a herd in the corral.
And so like, I'm going to experience just like the ambiance and, you know, I'll go on a ride or two, but like, what am I looking to get out of it versus like, how much can I get out of it?
Or even like if you relate it to like most people, the way that they act when they go to a buffet, it's like, I gotta get my money's worth. It's like a buffet's probably cheaper than fucking going to a normal restaurant. Like, and like you're paying for
it's less, it's bad quality food because it's a buffet.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, you're totally right. My little slogan with my clients is, make life about what's going on around you and not what's on the plate in front of you.
Yeah.
So, you know, in a sense, I mean, all restaurants should be trying to create an experience for people. That's where customer service comes in. That's where food, you know, presentation comes in, all of that. Experience it. I mean, on my big Sunday fun day nights, I will seriously, I'll get, I had some great cookies sent to me. I had 2 of them sitting there heated up last night with all my other stuff. I ate half of each one and got rid of the other halves because I had kind of thought I'd already thawed them out and stuff. But I know, like, I just want to really sample them. Yeah. I just want to taste them and sample all the other stuff. And I have my trash can. I just kind of threw it all away, and I got to sample everything that I was wanting last night, and I didn't miss out on anything.
Yeah, we did. It was funny. It was like, I think it was Christmas. We ended up right around Christmas or New Year's. I think we gave away like
it's like 15 pounds of cookie.
Oh, and I do that too. I bring them here and I'm like, all right. And everybody's like, oh, here she comes with the cookie box.
Yeah. Cause it was like, all right, like we just wanted, like you said, we just wanted to try it all. And so like, all right, see which ones were good. So like we cut little pieces off of all of them. And then I think she just like threw it up on social media. Just like, all right, 15 pounds of cookies. If anyone wants half. And so someone that like, you know, someone we never met in person was like, I'll take them. All right, cool. We'll swing by because I guess they were having a party or a get together. So they just put it out like appetizers. Like, beautiful. Now everyone gets to win.
Yeah,
exactly. And then whenever I gift them to people, they take them home, they share them with their family, they cut it in 4 or 5 pieces. They all get to enjoy it. They got that enjoyment out of it. They got the experience of it. And they didn't have to eat all of the, you know, all the things, you know, they just
for sure.
got to try it.
Totally. All right, one last question and then we'll wrap it up. How do you, because I know a lot of people, like, especially like you being a competitor, had gotten into measuring and tracking your food, and you've kind of, because you've been doing it for a while, now you're pretty good at eyeballing things and measuring and being aware of how your body responds. How do you introduce your clients to that? Or are there things that you have them measure and track that are like your top 5, like this is super important to know about yourself?
Well, I start them off measuring and tracking everything so they can start to get a visual on what is appropriate.
Yeah.
Because appropriate fats is not the entire avocado. Obviously, we all know that. Everybody's like, but that's a good fat. That's a good food. That's a healthy fat. It's a superfood. And I'm like, all superfoods are great until you eat 5 pounds of them, you know? So I start them off tracking. Actually, I have one here on my desk, a little scale, measuring and tracking, and doing that for the majority of their meals. But if they go out to lunch for business, if they go do that, I start them with their hands, that proportion and portion control. And when they check in with me weekly, I always ask them a series of questions, and they will ask me like, did I do okay? You know, is this right? And I like to teach them, and they get excited because they're learning and they saw that they have that food freedom, but that they got to enjoy the experience. They got to go out and they didn't have that anxiety that they were always creating in themselves. Yeah. But I always have people track carbs and fats. That's the main thing. You know, it's like, well, I only had a couple extra handfuls of almonds every day. I'm like, okay, well, so let me show you. 14 almonds is about 100 calories, but a couple handfuls of those every day, all week, you've added up to another 1,000 calories. And then you wanted to go have your free meal, and you went a little overboard on the whole bottle of wine, and you ate 5 cookies, you know, instead of enjoying this, well, 5 of those half pound cookies, or, you know, the West Coast stuff. But then it's like, okay, so then you had another 3,000 calories, and then you're wondering why you're not making progress. Well, this is why. And I like to show them that. And I actually that's why I post like every few days some food comparisons so that people can kind of see portion control things. You can still have your avocado toast if you put just a couple ounces on there. So I start them with weighing and measuring that instead of putting the whole thing on there,
Yeah.
A tablespoon of peanut butter can cover the toast. You don't need to tablespoon it, that. So that's why I have them weigh and measure healthy fats and carbs at first. Protein, I'm like, just go for it, even though it does add up and it can affect your body, but that's not the main goal right now. Let's start here and start small.
For sure. Well, I think a lot of people, or at least a lot of the clients that we work with, they struggle to get a lot of protein in anyways. So like, there's no point in limiting. Sometimes you have to like try to encourage them to eat more. So it's like, all right, just track those things because you're probably not eating enough of this. You're probably eating too much of that shit anyway. So like, let's track the stuff that you're over consuming and try to make sure that you're at least getting a healthy amount of the stuff that you're having.
A healthy amount of the things that you need. And then one thing I teach people with their free meals, I had someone like, oh, I had my, I like to call them free meals at first. And then I have clients that have learned through the years or, their time with me to balance throughout the week. But I start them off doing it the other way. But with their free meals, they'll be like, well, I just ate I had a bucket of popcorn and 3 beers. And I'm like, okay, so here's how it could have affected your body better. If you would have had a hamburger and a few fries and then the popcorn and, maybe had a salad with it, but had the hamburger and the salad first because it's going to keep your glucose from spiking. And I show them those little trends and draw it out for them. And they learn that. I'm like, you need to have protein and fats with that giant amount of carbs that you just ate on your free meal. And they see how it actually doesn't affect their body so bad because they're like, I was swollen like a cow the next day, and all this. And I was like, well, if you'd have done these things, your body would have balanced a whole lot better. Yeah. And I teach them how that works. And that's the benefit of me being diabetic.
No, totally. No, that's awesome. Thank you so much. We're gonna have to do this again because this is so much information.
We'll have to do it on a Sunday fun day, and maybe I might.
Oh my God, that would be fun. Okay, we're gonna plan.
I almost sent you a video of like one of the plates last night that I had set out because I set them all on my coffee table and I sit there and I work, have a movie on. It's a whole little setup for me. It's a whole little system. I don't do anything on Sunday nights, but that's my focus all day. I'm waiting.
Oh my God, you're okay. We'll plan it, and you're gonna take a picture and you're gonna send it to me too, even before.
Awesome.
But how can people find you if they have like questions or anything?
The easiest way at first would be just to reach out to me on Instagram. I message everyone back within 24 hours. GENNID, as in dog, David, whatever you want to call it. My name is Jennifer, but my kids started my email for a decade was Jenny D something. So it just happened to be that. So it's Jenny D on Instagram, or my actual email is info@jenniferstrobo.com. Awesome. And that's Jennifer with a G.
That's what I was gonna say, Jennifer with G, I'm assuming, right?
Don't forget. I can say that a million times all day, and people ask me, are you sure? I'm pretty sure.
You're like,
but yeah, I'm pretty much the only Jennifer with a G out there on Instagram too. So as soon as you type that in, it should come up.
You're genuine. Perfect. Love it. Thank you so very much. And I can't wait to do this again.
No, thank you guys both. I can't wait to do it again.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, we're off Facebook, so we should be
awesome. Good. There we go. Can you hear us?
Yes. I was just being quiet. I wasn't gonna go.
Oh no. You're good. No, that was super fun. And yeah, I would love to do it again. But also